Summertime when the living is easy. So, hey, this is July 26th, 2016, Drupal UX meeting, and we'll look at some things, I guess.
Just for your information, it's July 27th here in India.
Oh, yes, right. Sorry for that. I was pretty sure that, yes.
So you're calling us from the future?
Yeah. So it's 26th and the 27th of July. Yeah, this is UX meeting. So who brought topics this time?
I have some stuff that I can talk about around starting to get into like more sort of nitty-gritty form stuff inside of the off canvas for outside in, but I can leave that till last if other people have other things.
Yeah, I have, I think, one issue which might be useful to at least take a look at. I'm not sure if it needs much review, but could take a look at it. Let me post that on Slack. That is this issue. All right. Other than that, I don't have any big issues. I can give a small update on some of the workflow stuff, perhaps.
Sure. That'd be cool.
Any other topics, Gore?
Yeah, from our side, I just status report. I've lost touch. I lost touch with Sumit on status report. So probably if Gabor can just tell us that what's required for getting the status reports into 8.2 beta. I think that's happening in another week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is getting close. So I think I've posted several reviews on the issue. So I think the most important part is to move out some of the logic that's already there to the process function to system.admin.inc and have it there so that it's available regardless of the actual theme template, and then multiple themes can use the same data and they don't need to copy paste the same logic to their twig files. And then do similar logic there for the categories of information. But I've seen that you have screenshots that look nice, so even posting the twig file and the CSS as patches would help with reviewing the CSS also, since you seem to have that there, but haven't yet posted that. That would be nice to move forward with reviews on that while the work on the rest of the code is going on. That would help speed it up.
Yeah, I think the patch as it is now is slightly incomplete, right? I didn't see any of the twig changes in there. Yeah. All right. Do you want me to start with giving an update of workflow?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm not sure how much Roy shared last meeting, but we had a kind of workshop in the Netherlands, I think if he shared something, then I don't need to go into too much detail. But for those who didn't see that, we basically kind of went through all of the kind of UX challenges that are there, and started to outline, like, what are the different kind of use cases that we are looking to support, kind of what activities do the different roles have, and what does that mean for the workflow initiative. Basically kind of building out all of the kind of core parts to a good approach from a UX point of view. So we made like kind of activity diagrams. We made kind of flow charts of like how does an article go from being in a draft mode to actually being published, like what are all the different states. Spending the second day working mostly on workspaces. trying to figure out how that all kind of comes into the picture. So a lot of that work is yet to be published. I think we're working on kind of getting that out there. Will take a little bit to write everything up from a 2-day exercise, but that should be shared soon. What's interesting, I think, following from that is we're hoping to do a more in-depth sprint at some point. And another thing which I think is relevant from that initial sprint is we're looking into doing a survey. So we identified kind of all kinds of different activities that people could do within the different roles, from content editor to content manager, all kinds of different roles, and we identified kind of all the different things that people can do. But now we want to find out how important are they actually to people, and what kind of challenges do they have with those different tasks. So that's kind of a follow-up step from that. And I guess a good thing to point out is they're now working on getting content moderation into core. There's been a lot of movement in the last weeks to be honest, but last week for sure. And there's been a few kind of big issues that have been raised, kind of data integrity issues, things that are not so much UX, but mostly things that are being able to save or being able to uninstall, having clear forward revisions and stuff like that. Lots of stuff. Hopefully that will get done in time. But there's still quite a gap there in terms of all the work that needs to be done and the time we have left. So hopefully that will work out. Yeah, that's about it.
Sounds good. So where are you posting this, or is there some follow-up discussions that we can participate on?
Not yet. I think Dick has been on vacation and Roy just went on vacation. So I think we're kind of dealing with all the vacations overlapping. Mm-hmm. Once that is kind of cooled down a little bit, I'm sure we'll get everything up there. I think we're just making nice digital versions of all of the sketches and stuff that we made. Yeah, I'm expecting that to be shared within maybe 2 or 3 weeks when everyone is back. Mm-hmm. In time for DrupalCon. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of exciting. We haven't done that in a long while, so that was good.
Does it seem like workflow is going to make it into 8.2? Like they've got about 4 days left or so?
I don't know. You're probably a better judge than me on that. There seems to be one normal issue, allow removing module content entities prior to module uninstall. That one has been pushed around a bit. But it seems like Alex is also working on that. So it looks close. I thought that was the major blocker still. As far as I remember.
Yeah, that was like an external blocker to the patch.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of things that are blocked. I think 1, 2, 6 issues. But I think one of them will be resolved, or 2 of them will be resolved by fixing the content entry prior to uninstall. The other things I'm not sure about. They look kind of still a little bit off.
Yeah, there was one about uninstallation or something. Okay, yeah. But they're definitely not blocked on us, like the UX team.
No, so I don't think any of them are still blocked on UX. I do think it's worrisome that there are so many blockers. Mm-hmm. I think it's worthwhile to check in with. I'm not sure if that's already been done, but to check in with the framework team to see because some of those blockers are really big ones, and not sure if those are resolvable before. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we did check in with the framework managers, and that's how we ended up the list of blockers, so
Right.
we'd be
Right.
asking. I think.
Well, we can reevaluate, right? Because after that, I think after that there was one issue that was raised, but there's still like translation from the Vault Skit when publishing for revision of a default translation. There's some issue there, and that kind of, I don't know, doesn't seem to be close to a solution. But I think, Gabor, you were also working on that, right?
Yeah, I was heavily working on that in the past few days, and I think we have a compromise that's not losing data at least, but to resolve that fully would take weeks, if not months, to introduce some new concepts to workflows and like different states for different kind of revisions and all kind of other fun things.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen now.
Right. Okay, the other big thing I was aware of for 8.2 was the status page redesign, but it sounds like there we're blocked on a programmer to actually implement the suggestion. Is that correct?
So I think there's been patches going around, but it's definitely been basically one person. So I think help is much appreciated.
Yeah, Prabhu can talk about that, I think.
So if you're listening, that's issue 665790, the nice, what, 7-year-old issue from 2009. So there's pretty designs. We just need a coder. Woo! All right.
And I think there's already a patch, but there's still just some work that needs to be done.
Yeah, I'm looking at the last couple comments here.
Yeah, I think they are working on that, and the latest work is not yet posted in patch form, so I was encouraging Prabhu to get that posted soon, and then...
Now there's a patch as of 2 hours ago.
Oh, really, yeah.
But that does not...
That's not a patch, no.
No, that looks like a chunk of code, but
it's
not...
definitely a file upload.
Why was he... I don't really understand that. Okay. Anyway, so that one needs a little bit of help. There's also outside-in stuff we've got on the go.
Right. That's been like I've been seeing patches on that like every few hours.
Yeah, that is definitely active. I've got like 3 people on that right now. So I don't see the issue right in my issues.
That's 2.7. Oh yeah, there you go. Okay. Let me post that in Slack.
Oops, and I forgot to post a link to the status page issue. Let me do that too.
Yeah, so maybe we can. I mean, for workflow, I don't think there's anything to discuss in this particular meeting.
No, I don't think there's anything this team can do to unblock the workflow issue.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
So the UX stuff that you guys did, Bojan, is about sort of more of a sort of establishing a more long-term plan for workflow. But I understand that we're just trying to get a patch in right now for workflow states in 8.2, which doesn't really have any UX apart from that content, that destructive issue.
Right.
Right.
Well, so we did a little bit of work on the state transitions. So basically being able to like configure how something from draft goes to needs review, goes to published. But there's definitely still a lot of like open ends, like how do we represent that on the content creation form, like how do we allow to go to other states when you're not on that form, for example. So there's still a lot of open ends, but I think we kind of collectively decided, and also with product review, that those were issues that could be resolved in the move towards stable, and didn't need to be resolved in being experimental, basically.
All right. So there's no UX blocker on Workbench or on
moderation, content moderation. Yeah.
Content moderation getting into 8.2.
No.
It's only code.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Cool. All right. So was that all of the other issues?
I think so. I think you can like demo your stuff around the off-canvas stuff, because the patches have been moving so fast. I haven't been able to like check the latest one.
I'll give you a quick look at the patch. Let me share my screen. But what I wanted to discuss has more to do with the forms going forward that are going to be and the kind of core work that we need to do on that. Okay, where is my? Okay, here we go. There's things that start to come up as we do this because it changes around the way that some of the things that some of the existing patterns that we have in core work, really, because as soon as we introduce this pattern, which you can see what happens is that I go into editing mode, and now I can hover these things, right? And I can click one, and I get a form, and now I can edit my menu, and then I can save it, and there it is. Actually, you don't see that because I only have one visible. Let me make them all visible. Now you can see that I've edited this menu, and now I'm going to move the search link to the bottom.
I'm just wondering here, in terms of like details, are we supposed to have 2 scroll bars?
That is, there's still implementation issues here around how this all works, and we're ideally no. Ideally, we will not have 2 scroll bars, but sometimes you will get an internal scroll bar here because for various reasons. We're working on trying to get rid of that. Yeah, it's better not to have 2 scroll bars. But in fact, in certain instances, we have 2 scroll bars in in core anyway, because, for example, if you go here and then start opening stuff up, well, now I have 2 scroll bars. I have a scroll bar here, and then I have one over here. And if this was an RTL, I would see them both next to each other. Or maybe I wouldn't. But anyway, in any event, you have 2 scroll bars on the screen. There are certain instances in which you cannot avoid having 2 scroll bars because we want to be able to show all the stuff that's in the tray. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I would prefer not to have 2 scroll bars if we could get away with not having. I would prefer not having one inside of this field set as well, which we would also like to try to get rid of. But for the purposes of this current patch, all we're doing is using the styling that Bardic provides us. And in fact, I had to actually add an overflow scroll to this div in order to get this scroll bar in there, because Bardic was just overflowing it right out of the container, which was kind of ugly. So this is the current patch. We have the form, and we have the ability, as you can see, that is working to to make changes to these various different things, and then show all of the parts of the form. But this is kind of what I want to talk about. It's one of the things that I kind of want to talk about, because one of the things that becomes clear when we start to have configuration on the front end like this, where I can do things immediately, right, is this is a lot of information to throw up in front of somebody when they're doing things on the front end. But the thing that occurred to me as I was looking at this and working on it is that this is not necessarily too much information if you cannot see what you're editing, right? Because when I can see what I'm editing, right, it's not necessarily valid in this particular instance, because no change that I make in this form right now is going to make a visible change over here. But imagine, for example, if I had if I had nested items in this menu. If I had, imagine if add content and search were nested items, which we can actually do. Right? Just throw them underneath and then save that. Right. So now I see. I have to make it exposed. Well, anyway, in any event, if you saw those nested items, right, then you would be able to make this change, save it, and immediately see the results of what you just did. So much of this descriptive text becomes irrelevant because you can get much more immediate feedback as to with trial and error as to whether what you just did was taking effect or not. However, we probably don't want to take out descriptive text in the administrative page when the user clicks through to the administrative page using advanced options, because now I can't see it. Now I can't see the stuff in front of me, and I probably do want to read this descriptive text because I don't have that ability to do the trial and error stuff. So I guess what I'm saying is that even though a lot of people have been discussing the idea that, well, you know, if we have this stuff, we can use this, we can improve the form, right? We can just improve the form in general here, and then that will also improve the form as it exists in the administrative pages. But my contention is that, well, no, they really need to be two different things. So I wanted to hear what other people's thoughts are on that, whether they agree or disagree. I can show you an example of what I mean. Like, this is what I think the user would like to. This is what I think the user would like to see in this instance, you know, on the phone. And this is something that shows the difference, right? So obviously you've got quite a lot of text here. I slimmed it down to much less text, much less labeling. What are people's thoughts on that? Should we try to establish a pattern where we have two separate sets of descriptive text and form labels and things like that? Or
Yeah, I like that idea. The only thing is with the labels that they'll change obviously in different languages, so you might still have that weird drop with the drop down. So.
Well, I mean, that's just a design. It's a design detail that I stuck the form inputs inline.
Yeah.
That would be a CSS change that would have to be made for that to happen. But what I'm talking about is more just, do we want to have two separate strings of descriptive text in one in the admin page and one in the front end page? And I don't think that this is something that can be done programmatically where we can truncate it or.
Well, yeah. Just wondering, did you consider like placing it behind like an icon or something? Just wondering kind of other things that you export.
Oh, that's an idea, because then we wouldn't have to do any branching of logic, and we'd still keep it compact on the short form.
I think that would be a good idea. But whenever I suggested that before, people have objected to it, and I don't know whether I can't recall whether they objected to it on the grounds that, you know, we just didn't have the bandwidth to have somebody do it, or whether it was more about accessibility and things need to be visible for people to get the proper information. I missed that. Sorry, say again. I'm sorry, did I cut out or something?
I think you might be having internet problems or something.
Yeah, you might be echoing into your own mic. I think everyone else is muted.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself for a second. But basically the question is, you know, there have been objections to you know, to hiding things behind a info link or button or something like that. And I'm
Yeah,
wondering,
I think so. Most of the objections were about the fact that, like, for a lot of cases, it hides helpful. Like, the idea of all of the text is that it should be helpful, and then hiding it, well, makes it less helpful because you have to actively decide, like, I'm not sure what this means. Let me get me more information, essentially, right? I think the interesting thing here is that it's a different context, right? So I think menus is like the most difficult one. I think blocks, for example, is much easier, but there will always be a mix between settings that are immediately visible, which definitely don't need any explanation, as far as I'm concerned, and changes that are like kind of hidden. So, like, you know, that it, for example, is part of a tree or something like that, where it's much harder to see the effect. And then some cases people might need an explanation. Given that this is an experimental module, I don't see any reason why we couldn't experiment with hiding the text behind an icon or something like that. We can always just test it and see if it works, and if it works, it's something to consider for the larger part of core. I think some of the objections is also that, you know, if you look at other systems, like Joomla is a good example of that, where like there's literally like dozens of like those icons across your screen. It makes for a very kind of I mean, I would say cluttered kind of impression, and that's something we definitely want to avoid.
yeah, I agree with that. So there is another option, right? Which is that we could truncate it. You know, I mean, also part of this is the fact that, you know, in many instances, I think that the text is just verbose, right? Some of it doesn't. Some of it is just there's just too much descriptive text. But where it's not verbose, where it's as compact as it really can be verbally, you know, we could truncate it to a single line. That way, the first sentence or the first, you know, fragment of a sentence, if it breaks the line, is going to always be there visible, so that, you know, if somebody has immediate, if the most important information is in the first 5 to 7 words of the sentence, then the user is going to see it, right? And then, you know, on click, then they can expand the truncation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, it's something to kind of investigate, because I'm actually not really sure if in the first 5 seconds or 5 words we communicate the most important information.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Here, but it might be that the pattern is that we don't.
Yeah. I mean, if we don't, right? If we are not communicating the most important information in the first few words of the sentence, we probably should be. But you know, but yeah, it definitely. If we did have truncation, then it would put the onus on people who write descriptions to put the most important stuff at the beginning. Right.
I don't know. I've heard from all of my content strategy friends how much truncation is not a mobile, like, content. It's not valid as a mobile content. Like, you really need to either do the same, like a hide behind a question mark pattern would be great, because then it works the same for everything. But, you know, whereas a truncate to the first 20 characters or something, like, there's no way that that's ever gonna work across the board.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that also. My inclination has always been to put some kind of an icon, a information icon or something that people could click on, and I would definitely maybe maybe this is the place to kind of introduce that pattern, like Bojan said. Since we're in an experimental module, obviously not for the first beta commit, but as a follow up, for when we do cleanup work on this particular module, I think it would be relatively straightforward to put that in.
That's something I would like clarity on, actually. Is what is, from a UX point of view, because we still have framework and release manager and stuff to get to, but from a UX point of view, how close or far away is this right now? Because I guess what I'm worried about is that workflow would be a huge, awesome feature. It doesn't look like it's going to get in at this point. Basically, code freeze is early Tuesday morning for, at least for North Americans. I don't know about Europeans, but we've basically got about 4 working days left to get whatever is going to get in core for 8.2. So I don't know about workflow because I don't know how to help with those architectural blockers that they've got going on. It sounds like, the admin status page would be cool, but, not really a compelling thing. This is something that Dries has blogged about a long time. It would be awesome if we had some way of getting this in core prior to the beta cutoff, but in order to do that, I need to know, like, from this team, what's the MVP look like? So Kevin just demoed the current status, and the help text obviously looks ugly. Do we want to put placing that behind an icon in the MVP for commit, or is that a follow-up task we could do? Like, I would love to get some kind of direction on that, because this is the last UX meeting we'll have before the beta cutoff.
I was thinking of it totally as a follow-up task. I'm not thinking.
It sounds like a follow-up task to me. I'm just making sure that that's correct.
Yeah, I don't think it's a blocker on this patch. Frankly, at this point, like what you see right now in terms of the patch, I think it's ready right now. Okay, let me put one caveat on that, on that, which is that I think there are still some technical issues that are not fully ironed out yet. But from the perspective of the functionality that you see when you install the patch and run it on your machine, provided that you don't have any bugs, I don't think that it needs anything else. I think it is an MVP right now as it exists. But we should try to iron out.
That's good, but you're the dude who designed it and worked on it. So, Bojan, what is your feeling on that?
Yeah, it's good. So I have been following the issue, but there's been so many changes. It's kind of hard to keep track. Mm-hmm. It looks in relatively okay shape. It's like all of the visual issues, they're kind of jarring. Given that this is like a mainly UX kind of feature.
So UX issues, you mean like the 2 scroll bars next to each other? Or?
Well, yeah, and the horizontal, and the fact that it's white on white, which is also not the ideal situation.
It used to be white on white. When did that happen?
Well, so we made the decision not to make any. Not to create any specific styling for this in the module for the initial MVP release.
This is how Bardic looks like, so that's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's in a different theme, if it's in like I just installed Bootstrap Business to see what that would look like, and it looks beautiful visually. It has no double scroll bars anywhere, and it's very clean, and the typography is very neat. But somebody else's theme, it might look even much worse than it looks in Bardic.
Yeah, which I don't fully understand that decision, because you could have put it in 7, right?
No.
It's loaded on top of the front-end page, right? So then Backstead.
Yeah, no, that sucks. Yeah, you have the same issues as contextual links, essentially.
Right. Or edit module or toolbar. all of which have their own quite complex CSS.
Solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that, I mean, it just makes it hard to bring to stable, I guess. But I don't see any big blockers because I think it does what the initial issue opener said it does, so which is editing menus, which is good because that's more useful, I think, than branding. So yeah.
Well, we have both actually, in fact.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and actually,
we don't have to throw away stuff.
Yeah, and actually, in fact, I'm sorry, where's my thing? I'm going to go back to it for a second because we have quite a bit more than that. We have because really what this means is that if somebody uses this module, whatever, right? Whatever is in the block plugin form will come into this form. So if your block plugin form could have any number of different things in it, right? So if you install a module that has a block that that adds that configures views, right? You could be configuring views depending on whether you added form items into your block plugin. The module added form items into the block plugin. So in fact, this can edit like a great number of different things on the front end, not just the site branding and now it actually changes the.
Yeah, I'm wondering here, Kevin. Can we actually, so say we want to make the right sidebar gray? How would we go about doing that? Like, would that be a change we can introduce to Bartik?
So the way that we would go about doing that is I think we would have a follow-up issue, for this particular module that that just changes the styling before it goes into. Before it ceases to be an experimental module and goes into core, if it goes into core.
Right.
And I actually already have a whole bunch of CSS written that restyles this, in a way that looks similar to the prototypes that you guys saw earlier.
And the reason that's not part of this patch is?
The reason it's not part of the patch is because every single new line of CSS, and there were many new lines of CSS, many new rules introduced there, introduces potential bugs and potential problems, and expands the work. And if we made that decision several days ago, and if we had continued along that road, then we might not be getting this into 8.2, which is something that we did not want to do.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
So,
yeah.
if there are any blockers in here, it would also be good because one of the prerequisites to getting an experimental module committed is to track all of these follow-ups that are required. So, I'll just open a text editor module, blah 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 thing right now. So what I heard is we need to adjust the colors of the sidebar so it's not white on white on white on white, but that can be is it a must-have follow-up or should have follow-up? What would that be?
I think it's a should have. I wouldn't say it's a must-have.
Brian, would you agree?
And it's.
I'm kind of asking these questions to Boyan more so than you, Kevin, because Kevin, this is your design and you wrote the thing, so. Obviously, you're always going to be pro doing less work. So Boyan, if you're talking, you're on mute, so I can't hear you. So, okay, so that was one, and then another one was fixing the scrolling. I mean, it seems like one obvious thing you could do is adjust the width of the block based on how wide the content is. So. I mean, that wouldn't work in the case where a humongous table was in there, but if it's just a basic table, like that was really only a horizontal scroll bar because of like 20 pixels or something. So that seems like I'm gonna write should have follow-up.
So the other follow-up that we definitely need to have is to figure out like what the ideal scenario is per block or per block type, whatever.
Yeah.
Because right now we just have, I think, menus kind of figured out, and branding a little bit, but we didn't really make too much effort, I think, into like really defining rules and all of that.
Yeah, no, because like if you, Kevin, if you click the search block, for example,
You get the
because this is what you get. But I think what you're saying is we might want to think more about like whether and how we show visibility settings and things like that in there. Is that what you mean? Or
Yeah. I mean, we did definitely discuss it, but I think we need to like set the standard in core.
Yeah, we definitely need to establish some standards of how the sidebar gets populated with form elements. Ooh, that's ugly.
so that might take the form of like additions to the human interface guidelines or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'll put that as a must-have follow-up. All right. So those all sound like really good ones. Here's what I've got. I'll paste it into Slack. But then in your estimation, as long as we can get this thing passing tests, which it's not currently, so that's a whole thing. We got to figure out what's going on there. But if we can get this thing passing tests, and we add these things to the list of things to file follow-up for, are you comfortable with us proceeding, trying to get this to RTBC?
Yeah, I'm assuming you also need to get release manager or whatever or framework manager to give the quick review.
Yep.
Assuming we're not introducing any like I don't think security issues, but we might.
Yeah.
Or other issues, but I didn't. I mean, I tried it out. I couldn't find any like real big ass bugs. So yeah, it looked okay.
All right. So, Boyan, it would help a lot if you could post a comment to that effect, and I'll edit the issue summary and make sure these things are listed there. I probably won't spin off issues for them yet, just because I'll wait, till this looks a lot closer, and then I'll do that. But I'll definitely add them to the summary so that it's a bulleted list and we're ready to keep going.
I do think for Kevin as well, it is worthwhile to think about how we can fix some of the styling issues just a little bit. And I'm saying that mainly because like we want this to have an impact, and the impact is partly derived from its sexiness, and right now it looks really ugly. So if there's any like small steps that we can do, like that don't require like dozens and dozens of CSS changes, that would be worthwhile to look into.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I mean, like, so for example, I already did write this amount of CSS right here for just to get this table to even like show up properly, and not like push these completely off the screen. So yeah, absolutely. There needs to be some minimal CSS that's written to actually just make sure that there are not like visual inconsistencies that make the thing unusable.
Yeah.
As it inherits Bardic's base styling, but we're not going to go to town and start overriding everything.
Well, I don't know. What I heard is that we should go to town, or maybe make it part of the module CSS or something. But like this needs to look sexy.
Right. So
it doesn't need to look sexy for the initial commit, because basically we have two deadlines. We have one deadline, which is Tuesday, which is like if this is going to get into 8.2 as an experimental module, we need something to get committed by then. So that's deadline number 1. And then deadline number 2 isn't until like after DrupalCon, I think. Or maybe it's, anyway, it's September something. And that's the RC deadline where this needs to be in a shippable, like, what we can't make changes to it anymore.
And these are style optimizations, so they are not feature additions.
Correct.
Or anything like
exactly.
That. Yeah.
But even if they're features, the module itself, once it's committed, it's experimental module, so we can continue making changes to it even during patch releases, we can make changes to it. But ideally, if we're going to tout this in the release notes of 8.2, we would make it look really hot.
Yeah, so that's my only that's more like product centric thing.
Right.
Like if we want to go like, oh, we now have this exciting first step into outside in, and people look at it and they go like, really? We definitely don't want that first impression. We want that impression like where they go like, oh, this is really exciting. I hope more and more blocks will become like highly usable in this format.
Right.
And that would motivate a lot of people as well. So definitely something we can look into and maybe design a plan how to figure that out before release. I definitely think there's a lot of like in-between steps that we can take to make it look better without requiring like massive overhaul of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I've already actually done a lot of sort of form CSS that I pulled out, that I ripped out. So there's a bunch of work there that's just not here, that you're not seeing, that's kind of been put on the back burner until after the initial commit, and then we can throw that back in and start to like really look at the styling of it.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll post a comment, Angie, to the fact that I think the concept looks good,
Sure.
And then focusing on the things that we should fix after. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. I'm going to try and work on Catch and Jess and Company and see if there's any possible, I don't know what, not exception and anything like that, but something for the workflow stuff, because it would just be so awesome to put that in. And it's been working for like a month. It's just these edge case things that they're being asked to fix in front of it, which I get because it's like their data integrity problems, but.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit tricky because like these are typically the issues that you would go like, if we have a long release cycle and we don't have experimental modules, this is the type of stuff we should be fixing. But now that we have a different type of workflow, I think we also need to figure out how the kind of framework approach can kind of align up. I think some of these issues, I mean, there are definitely issues, but they're like so hard to fix. So it's really difficult to front load them, especially like a few weeks in advance.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, honey. Okay, thanks a lot. Didn't mean to take up so much time with that, but it's really appreciated.
So anyone else who joined since then have issues to discuss? Jose, maybe? Hi? Hello?
I don't have anything else.
No, me neither.
So then I guess the only other issue I'm aware of, kind of in my list of, gosh, that would be great to get into 8.2 would be, trying to pull it up here. It's one about improving the quick edit of image uploading. Sorry, improving the UX of quick edit uploading images.
And improving is basically being able to drag and drop an image, which is really cool.
Yes, exactly. It looks really nice and cool, and it would be awesome if we could get that in. But I think at the moment that's blocked on tests.
Yeah, I think Boyan reviewed that, and he said that's cool, and there's nothing blocking it from UX. And then Wim reviewed that multiple times for code, and he says that it's very close. And then he said that Nad may need to review it, but I think Wim reviewed it pretty extensively. So I don't know, depends. I think it's close to RTBC now.
Cool.
But I don't think that the
It's like we're on nitpicks and stuff at this.
I'm actually wondering, is this really a release blocker? I guess it's a feature request. Or, yeah.
A release
I guess,
blocker?
oh, sorry, like a feature freeze thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a new feature to an existing thing. It's not an experimental module,
Yeah, okay, I guess. Yeah. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Would be awesome to get the
8.3 will be awesome.
Yeah. Maybe if more. Yeah. Let's have more people say yay, and then maybe that helps with getting people motivated to work on it. That helps.
Let's all go to the issue. So what's the number of the issue?
Sorry, it is back here. You. Jeez. Here it goes. Come back. Boy, I'm having some issues here. There we go. 242-1427. Great.
Okay, let's all go and say that's great.
It looks like if anyone here is developer inclined, it seems like the last remaining comments are super easy to address, other than it's failing tests, and that worries me. But I guess there's a lot of random test failures in TestBot right now, which is annoying and causing some issues. So.
From a usability perspective, it's just really
So I don't know if
nice.
it's bad or something else or what. And I'm trying to think of what else is on my list for 8.2. I think that is the extent of the things I'm tracking, or at least user-facing things. There's a few more on the REST API and stuff. Anyone else have issues they want to promote as, hey, if you want to make 8.2 awesome, do this.
Can't think of it.
I sent you 2 issues on Slack. So we've had one for the simplification of the views page to have less columns and standard, not less columns, but to have better overview of what views you have instead of cramming every single piece of data about views into the page. That's RTBC, but
it's not
it was assigned to Katsu, yeah. So it's like somebody
Which,
else has a donation to review CSS, and if CSS there, then we know. And
I
then
thought Kotzer was on vacation though.
yeah, do you know when he's back?
No idea.
Because I've had issues finding him on IRC as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a good vacation.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I don't know. So is that something that needs to? I mean, I think that can go in after feature freeze though. Right? That's not a feature request.
I don't know.
No, because it's making changes to markup.
That changes the major and stuff.
But it's all okay.
I mean, it would be nice if we could find a way, but
It really all looks like super minor stuff, but I mean, because it's blocked basically on CSS, not markup, I think. At least I hope not. But that's tricky because, I mean, if he is not back in time and he probably has a big backlog, what's the committer approach to solving this? Or am I asking a really difficult question now?
I'll be right back.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that. And
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, so- Katzer was an IRC 2 weeks, 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Last time. So
I'm wondering, is there going to be? I'm sure there's going to be like a check through the RTBC queue. So perhaps it's something that we can raise in the issue, because it seems a little bit weird to block issues on one person and then not have an alternative solution. I mean,
yeah,
it's
we don't have
like it's been reviewed quite a few times, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that concerned. It's not like the first time, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm back, by the way. So I'm sorry, I missed whatever was just said. I heard something about committer, and then that was the end of that.
No, we have this issue that is kind of blocked on review from Kotzer, but then he is on vacation. So I'm not sure how we need to deal with that, because he did review it a couple times already. So
Yeah, I saw that. I'm seeing if I can figure out when Katsu was back from vacation.
By the way, while you do that, Angie, what about refreshless? Is that proposed for 8.2?
I don't think I've seen anyone do anything on refreshless.
I'd be very surprised, because I've just only seen issues going back and forth about like how to show the progress bar. Nah, I don't think so.
Do we know that Cutzer's on vacation?
Nope.
I'm sorry, Poyan, were you talking about 2113931, or were you talking about refreshless? Wim's.
Oh, I was talking about Wim's thing. I've been following that module. I haven't seen any patches in the core queue, so.
Right. Angie, did Wim talk about making refreshless an experimental module for 8.2 at all, or no?
I think he's going to focus on making Big Pipe in an official module, and I think Refreshless got bumped.
Oh, okay. I get it. Let's see.
Gabor, I think we're kind of nearing the end of this meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just wondering, are there any other things that people want to discuss, or should we kind of close it off?
So we got an issue on file field design updates to review.
Oh, that was 3 months ago.
Aaron's working on it.
It looks really nice. I'm not following.
Yeah, it's actually implementing the style guide, I guess.
Yeah.
It would be cool.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it doesn't change any markup, or does it? Does.
I'm
No,
sure it does. Yeah.
It adds classes. Ah, yeah. Wow. Yeah,
why is it failing tests though? That's weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it failed the test on. I believe when I ran it through simple test, it failed on like some images missing. So I don't know what the issue was there. They were like core images, not anything related to the patch. So, but I haven't had a chance to even go through like the test after this latest fail or whatever. So it's been a while. I have to find some time to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can pick this up, it would be amazing to see it implemented, because the file stuff got kind of on the back burner when the style guide was implemented. So
yeah,
be amazing. See?
Yep. Yeah, the only thing is that browse library. I think that would be. I think there were some discussions around that just being like a contrib module. So.
Yeah, I don't think you need to solve everything on the design here.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's number or 0.5 in the initial post. So, but this one's really old. This was posted in 2013. So, it'd be good to. I'll try to find some time here to work on this a little bit more and go through it all. But if anybody else wants to take a stab at it, they can go ahead and work off of what I posted.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, I'll retag it for the current tag of the media initiative at least, so that they are aware.
Sure.
You know who might want to actually pick that up is Adam Karnick, because he's actually kind of doing something quite similar in the Lightning distro. Or he's he's working in that same space, and I don't think he's done anything as far as this particular piece of styling.
All right, I have to drop off, but yeah, it's definitely, as Gabor mentioned, something worthwhile to pick up. Kevin, can you maybe get in touch with Adam and see if he's interested in helping out with this?
I'll see him tomorrow.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, I think we should close this meeting now. We're over time. Thanks everyone for coming and this amazing work. Keep it up.
Okay.
Yeah. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.